Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Stecchi, and I'm delighted to take you through this webinar, taking you through the Seller Campaign Playbook, 3 things every playbook should have. This presentation is ideal for marketing leaders, campaign managers, and anybody in the CMO office that is looking for greater engagement with your seller community. We put a lot of money every year as marketing professionals against our campaigns, and this will take you through why some campaign playbooks are more successful than others. It is my experience that the most successful seller campaign playbooks contain 3 truths. They contain a good definition of the audience, a meaningful journey, and conversation starters throughout the playbook. These are 3 kinds of ingredients, and you want a mix of all 3 in your playbook. It's up to you what you want those ratios to be. But in today's presentation, we're going to take you through what is the purpose of the audience with a need. You need to define the role, the sector, the geography, and the enterprise size. But even more importantly, describe the business need that that audience has. What's the so what or the why behind that business need? Why are they struggling with a problem? What is it that your company can help solve? You may have internal or external key performance indicators or goals. You want to make sure that those are articulated in your playbook. And you also want to make sure that the differentiators, what sets you apart from other competitors in the market, is clearly outlined. You may also want to include account-based marketing lists, especially if you have a cross-sell or upsell activity in play. Your journey across your campaign will be a meaningful one for that audience. You'll have some combination of thought leadership content, early learn, as well as high-value gated assets where you can capture that visitor's information and give them a meaningful experience. I'm going to suggest that you draft emails that your sellers can start using, fortify them with infographics and presentation decks, and all of this can be bound with different data points or factoids throughout. You'll notice the sketch in the bottom. I'm using a hiking metaphor here to get oriented and then to set a path. You'll see that there are switchbacks on that path. There are climbing turns, and then there are switchbacks. We don't always get to the summit with one straight line. It's often a lot of turns and curves and going backwards and then taking several steps forward. But at the heart of all of this, of course, is the credibility of your seller. And you want to give them conversation starters that make them gain that confidence as they're entering into conversations, sometimes for the first time with their clients. There may be new regulations on the market. There may be new industry standards or trends that are really pushing their clients. There may be competitive pressures that this audience is facing, or they may be a lot of the traditional pressures that businesses feel, like trying to minimize risk, changes in their own ecosystems, or having to show that return on investment throughout. The purpose of this webcast is to help you get started with a new campaign that your team may be launching, or a refresh campaign, and help bring it to life within the context of a playbook. I'm going to show you some key ways that you can make your playbook stand out, and we're going to cover off the 3 playbook must-haves, items that you must always contain within your playbook. I have worked at IBM and Iron Mountain for over 20 years. I am known for connecting the dots across people, ideas, and resources, and I help teams create plans and achieve their goals, whether they're solely across marketing or in partnership with marketing and sales. If you're ever looking for any help with strategy development, project execution, or client journeys, please let me know. Today's agenda is going to go through those 8 key components that was in your invitation. What is the seller playbook? What are the key elements? What are the differences between a playbook and other kinds of seller enablement? What are the major benefits of a playbook? What are the steps to creating it? What are the steps to communicating the relevance and the availability of that playbook? How can you measure success? And then we're going to recap the 3 must-haves, which is understanding your audience, understanding what those triggers are to get those conversations going, and then what your calls to action are. So let's start. What is a campaign playbook? A seller campaign book is a document, or it can be an online page, interactive page for your sales teams that explains the purpose of a marketing campaign. Now you may be wondering, why do I need this? And why don't the sellers just learn about this on their own? Well, it's my experience that your sellers, consultants, any client-facing leaders in your company, they want to know what marketing campaigns you have. They want to know what that campaign is. They want to know what it is selling, what's the product or service that it's tethered to. Who does the campaign target? So what are specific roles? Does it target the CIO, the CHRO? Does it target the CEO, or does it target another line of business altogether? Why should that audience care? What is the trigger, or what are the issues that that audience is struggling with that could make them want to pay attention here? How are you, as a marketing leader, delivering that campaign? Is it an event? Is it a digital play? Is it a paid media play? And then when does the campaign start? That sounds like such an obvious point, but often the sellers will classically say that they're the last ones to find out in a company when a marketing campaign is in market. And then you, of course, want to make it super easy. Help your sellers find the assets and resources and understand what those specific calls to action are so that they can use them in their own conversations. So you may be wondering, what are some of the key elements of a playbook? Well, it includes everything from the campaign description all the way down to social tiles and hot links. So let's just walk through this for a moment. The campaign itself needs to be described. I can't understate this or overstate it. It is really important that you identify what the campaign is and who's targeting. Get really specific. Articulate exactly who the roles are, the titles in those target companies. Are there vertical industries that you are targeting, or are there countries specifically that you're looking to pursue? Your product marketing leads will give you information on what those key messages are and how those are tethered to the services and products on offer. You also want to understand what the sellers are struggling with in these conversations. And a great way to break through that is understanding what the audience triggers are and the conversation starters or questions that they can ask their clients. You want to be able to lay those out, not as a script form, but as a set of bullets and lists. They may also take the forms of infographics and data sheets, white papers, videos, ROI calculators, or even case studies, testimonials from your clients that show them the success they've had in solving their business need. I like to see this fortified with facts and data points. Why? Because they can be pulled out and pulled into the seller presentations really easily. If you're using an account-based marketing approach in your campaign, you want to lay that out very specifically in your playbook. You want to make sure that you've listed the actual accounts that are being targeted here and how they're being pursued. You can do this easily with a Salesforce listing. You can create a custom listing in Salesforce and provide the URL in the playbook. You'll notice that I've indicated hot links to social tiles and hot links to eNurture copy on Salesforce. And you may be thinking, well, Donna, it's easy for us to just list for people to go into Salesforce and my sellers will know to go right in there. It's my experience that you want to make this super easy for them, very C-spot run, and actually provide the hot links within the playbook so that they can just click and go. You also want to include contact information. You want to include contacts like who is the technical consultant on their sales team that they can go to with questions that might come up with their client. Who is the product marketing lead who is overseeing this campaign and a lot of the assets? They may want to dig in further into a specific white paper, or they may want more information on an ROI calculator or know what else they can use to take their client through the journey. I would also recommend you list yourself, the demand gen or campaign lead, so that the people know on your sales teams who to contact as they have more information. The benefit here is they'll also contact you when they're having great success, which is always good to hear about. So you may be wondering, well, what's the difference between the playbook and other enablement? Well, often seller enablement includes everything from presentations and how-tos, pricing information, negotiation tips and paths, demos, that may be online or in person, and approaches to different requests for proposal or responses for proposal. These are often included in enablement. They are critical for all the sellers, but the playbook is a little bit different. The campaign playbook has really 4 key goals. It creates awareness of a marketing campaign. We talked about this earlier, where the sellers are often so busy. They're so busy quarter to quarter. They may not have an awareness of what the marketing team is releasing. They may not know what you have created or how you've refreshed a campaign. You want to use this playbook to start that conversation with your sales community. This can be a fabulous bridge for marketing and sales collaboration, not just through a few weeks, but through the course of a year. It's something you can build on over and over again. It's a credibility and confidence booster for sellers. When sellers can feel that they understand what a campaign is, that they have the information to then go into those meetings and those conversations with their clients, and they feel fortified with facts, it's fabulous. This gives them a place to start. This gives them a place to start on their journey with their own client. And this is a step-by-step guide. Your playbook is a step-by-step guide describing how to leverage a campaign and use all of the assets. I like to use this metaphor again, this path. It is a guide that can go in different directions. You want to hit the summit, but often there are different ways to get there. So what's the main benefit of a playbook? Why should I bother even releasing this to my sales teams? Well, the biggest reason in my experience is that you're building trust. You're building trust with your sales campaign through the awareness and use of the campaign. It's not enough to have your end target audiences through, for instance, a paid media play. You have to engage your sellers. So when they get those leads, they actually are aware of that campaign and they know how to start using all of that together. It's a fabulous way to create synergy between marketing and sales. If you put out a call to your lead seller and you tell them that you want to equip their sales team with all of this information, they will welcome you to their all hands calls. They will ask you to present time and time again. And it really, the reason is that you've created an avenue for the sellers to have meaningful client conversations, and it can really broaden the scope of a lot of those projects. You've created an arena for high potential for your sellers to have those meaningful conversations, to come to the table with ideas for their clients. There are some steps that are required when you're creating your playbook and you're putting it all together. And there are 4 that I'd like to highlight. The first is to gather. Gather. You want to, as a marketing leader, gather all the art, all the creative, the messages, the assets, and the links that build this campaign. You want to make sure that you've got a way to document all of that. Something as simple as a spreadsheet or as glorious as a box or a Dropbox account can really help you do this. You also want to start off by making a short list of your sales teams and subject matter experts. Make a list of those sales leaders and their sales teams. Some people are incented with a specific product or service that they need to sell. Some have incentives for upsell and cross-sell initiatives. You want to make a list of those teams and really make sure that you understand how to best get to them. My experience is that those all hands calls at the beginning of the week or once every few weeks are really fabulous. And you can even do these presentations in person. You want to also create a schedule for yourself. So if an agency is creating a campaign for you, you want to make sure that the playbook is delivered as one of the final deliverables. You want to make sure that when your campaign goes live in market, your enablement with your playbook goes out to your seller community right around that same time. You want to hit them with a timely interval so that it remains relevant. And you want to deliver that playbook so that it's ready in time for that campaign to be live. There's nothing more unfortunate than having a playbook that delivers weeks after a campaign's already been in market, or even, and I've seen it happen, after a campaign's already shut its paid media drive. You want to deliver that playbook as soon as you can, even if it means delivering it and making edits as you move through. There are some things I'd like to suggest you keep in mind when you are formulating your communication plan. Just like making sure that you know your way on a hike, on a journey, making sure you have a phone and a whistle for bears and a way to navigate through. You want to make sure that you're opening up your world to ask for help. Ask the head of sales for help. Ask them who they think should know about this campaign. Ask them what they'd like to see more of. And just present, present, present. Use every avenue to present your playbook, whether it's live, in person, if you do a recorded lunch and learn that can be used in replay. Present this as often as you can, and you can scale this from 5 minutes to 30 minutes quite often. You want to post it to an internal site, and you want to draft notes your sellers can use for cadence within their organization. So you may want to, draft a note for that head of sales to then give them instruction to cascade this playbook through their organization. You want to schedule question and answer times and lunch and learns with those teams. And you want to make sure you keep track of who you're engaging with, when that is, what kind of avenue. I really like to tell people, sales teams in particular, that if they want to see a replay of the work, or they'd like to invite our team back in to have our sales and marketing teams collaborate yet again, that's fair game, because sometimes you learn as you go. They come back with suggestions on what else they'd like to see. Always circle back with your sponsors, especially your sponsors in sales. Circle back with them so that they know what you're doing, so that you can hear what it is that they've got on going. Sometimes this is also a cue for other triggers or other things happening in the marketplace that maybe you can take advantage of. And of course, you want to customize your presentation so that they're appropriate for the industry, for the roles that your sellers are pursuing. And you want to measure success every step of the way. Every step of the way, you want to measure success. You want to keep track of the number of attendees and teams you're engaging with. If you're able to record a satisfaction score, a net satisfaction index, I'd strongly encourage that. Keep track of the downloads of the deck. This is why you'll see in the guides that I recommend that you post it to one central location, so you can keep track of those downloads and know when you're seeing peaks, and especially as you see refreshes take hold. And if somebody sends you a note thanking you, keep those. You want to capture those quotes. Why? Because every time you're going after more investment for new marketing campaigns, you can leverage this to your benefit to show that they were really useful. So the 3 must-haves for every campaign playbook is: who is the target audience? Who is it that you need your seller to have that conversation with, and how can they use that campaign to develop those conversations? What are the triggers? What are the triggers happening right now in the market? What are those business needs that that audience is struggling with, or instances, events that can happen that could help that seller get that door open and welcome that conversation to take place? And then finally are the calls to action. What are the gated assets that you need your sellers to drive traffic to? What is the URL, the vanity URL for the actual journey for the campaign that you want them to send their clients to? I know that this has been a very quick run through of the campaign playbook. If you're looking for more information, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'd be happy to help you and any of your teams as you devise different campaign playbooks for your organizations. Thanks very much and have a great day.